The desert planet was silent, its skies heavy with dust and its ground cracked like broken glass. No birds, no rivers, no signs of life. Only ruins spread across the horizon, whispering of an ancient empire long forgotten. A team of human explorers walked carefully through the ruins, their boots crunching against the sand and stone. Each step echoed in the emptiness, like they were disturbing the sleep of the dead. At the front was Captain Miller, a man who had seen 100 alien worlds, but never felt a chill like this one. Beside him walked Sarah, the archaeologist, who carried books filled with symbols and sketches of alien language. Behind them came Jason, the joker of the team, always laughing, always turning fear into a joke. To him, ruins were just old rocks, and statues were nothing more than big toys left behind by giants. They entered a large chamber, half buried under sand, the air heavy with strange energy. In the center stood a massive statue, carved from black stone, its surface cracked with faint blue light leaking through. The figure was humanoid but not human, tall and slender, with eyes closed as if it were asleep. Its lips were thin, its hands rested on its knees, and its presence made the chamber feel smaller. It was not just a statue, it was like something alive, waiting, watching with closed eyes. Sarah raised her voice softly. "This is no ordinary carving. This is a guardian. These markings are warnings." Captain Miller looked around, noticing strange patterns on the walls, symbols that repeated again and again. They seemed to say one word in every language Sarah knew: "Do not disturb." But Jason only laughed, walking closer with a mocking smile. "Come on, it's just a rock," Jason said, tapping the statue's arm with his glove. The sound echoed, deep and hollow, almost like the statue breathed. The others felt the air shift, colder, heavier, as if the chamber itself was holding its breath. "Jason, stop," Sarah warned, her voice trembling. But Jason only grinned wider. He looked at the statue's face, its lips slightly parted. "Should I kiss it awake like a fairy tale princess?" He joked. Nobody laughed. The silence was too heavy, too sharp. But Jason leaned forward anyway, pressing his lips to the cold stone. The moment he did, the ground shook violently, dust falling from the ceiling, cracks spreading across the walls. The statue's eyes snapped open, glowing like twin suns, burning with ancient fire. Jason stumbled back, his face pale, the laughter frozen in his throat. The chamber roared with a voice that did not belong to any living thing. "You doomed your species," the voice thundered, echoing inside their minds more than their ears. The walls lit up, veins of blue light spreading like rivers of fire. Sarah screamed for everyone to run, but the doors had already sealed with a force unseen. The air grew thick, heavy. Pressing down on their chests, the statue began to move, stone cracking and falling as if it shed its skin. Underneath was not stone, but flesh of strange light, smooth and terrible. Its head turned slowly, eyes burning into Jason, then sweeping across the others. "You broke the seal," it said. "For your insult, for your arrogance, all humanity will pay." Captain Miller raised his weapon, but it melted in his hands like wax. The alien did not move fast, yet its presence crushed them like gravity itself. Sarah clutched her book, whispering in fear. "We should never have come here." Jason, trembling now, whispered, "It was just a joke." The statue's face twisted into something like a smile, but filled with no kindness, only judgment. It raised a hand, and symbols lit up across Jason's skin, glowing, burning, searing into him like fire. He screamed, falling to the ground, his voice echoing through the chamber. The alien's voice rolled again, deeper, final. "The curse is set. Earth will fall." The chamber shook harder, pieces of the ceiling breaking loose, the floor cracking open into dark pits. The explorers tried to drag Jason out, but the energy from his body burned like fire. Captain Miller shouted. Sarah cried. The rest of the team panicked, but the alien did nothing more. It only watched, its glowing eyes unblinking, as if the punishment had already begun. Finally, the shaking slowed, the dust settled. The alien sat back into its original position. Its eyes dimmed but did not close, now open forever. The chamber grew silent again, but it was no longer peaceful. It was the silence before disaster. Jason lay on the ground, his body marked with strange glowing lines. His eyes wide with terror, he whispered, almost too soft to hear, "I didn't mean it." But it was too late. The curse had been spoken, and the fate of humanity had already changed. Captain Miller looked at the statue one last time, his face pale, his hands shaking. He knew this was only the beginning, the first sign of a nightmare that would spread to all of Earth. The forbidden statue was awake, and humanity's doom had already been written. Asterisk. The ruins were no longer silent. They pulsed with strange energy, blue light spreading across the cracked walls like veins of fire. The explorers tried to carry Jason, but his body burned with an unnatural glow, symbols crawling across his skin like living tattoos. Every time Captain Miller touched him, he felt a shock of pain, as if Jason's blood was made of lightning. Sarah stared at the statue, her voice trembling. "It's awake. The Guardian is awake." The alien figure did not chase them. It only sat on its throne of stone, its eyes glowing with endless judgment, but its presence filled the chamber with unbearable weight. Every breath felt heavy, every heartbeat too loud. Jason's scream echoed again. But this time it was not only pain, it was voices speaking through him, ancient words no human should know. Sarah's book vibrated in her hands, the alien language on its pages shifting, changing. Glowing with the same light as Jason's skin. "Captain," Sarah whispered, "this is not a statue. This was a prison. We freed it." Miller clenched his teeth, looking at his crew, fear growing in their eyes. The alien's voice thundered again, but it came from everywhere, not from its mouth. "You broke the seal. Now the curse spreads, world to world, star to star." The ground trembled, sand and dust rising into the air like smoke. Suddenly, the chamber doors opened by themselves, a deep rumble shaking the ruins. It was not mercy, it was release, as if the alien wanted them to carry the curse back into the galaxy. Captain Miller shouted, "Move now," and the crew dragged Jason out, his body twitching with unnatural energy. The moment they stepped into the open desert, the sky above them cracked with thunder, though no clouds were there. The alien ruin behind them glowed brighter, beams of light shooting into the heavens, piercing the stars. It was like a beacon, calling to something beyond human understanding. The team stumbled through the sand, their ship waiting on the edge of the ruined fields, its engines humming nervously like an animal sensing danger. Every step felt wrong, the air thicker, the shadows longer, and Jason's voice breaking into alien chants. They forced him aboard, strapping him to the medical bed, his eyes rolling, glowing faintly. Sarah checked his pulse, but it was irregular, beating like two hearts instead of one. "He's changing," she whispered, her face pale. "The curse is inside him, it's spreading through him." Captain Miller didn't answer, his jaw tight as he started the engines. As the ship lifted off, the desert below erupted, ruins collapsing into the sand as if swallowed by the planet itself. The statue's voice followed them into the sky, deep and endless. "Run, little humans, run to your world. Carry the doom with you." The crew sat in silence, fear heavy. In the air, none of them daring to speak. Only Jason's voice filled the ship, whispering alien words between his screams. Far above, the stars flickered unnaturally, constellations bending like reflections in water. It was as if the galaxy itself responded to the awakening. Sarah clutched her book, tears in her eyes. "This curse is not only for us, it is for all humanity. It will reach Earth." The thoughts sank into their minds like ice. Earth. Billions of lives, now marked by one foolish kiss. Hours later, as they crossed into deep space, the curse revealed its first shadow. Every system on the ship began to fail. Lights flickering, engines stuttering, alarms screaming. Miller fought The controls, his hands steady though sweat ran down his face. Hold together, we're not dying here. But Jason laughed. A hollow, alien laugh. His voice layered with something not human. You think you can escape, he whispered though. His eyes were closed. The curse is awake, and Earth will burn. The crew exchanged terrified looks. Realizing Jason was no longer fully himself, he was a vessel, a carrier of the alien's will. Sarah leaned close to Miller, whispering, if we take him back, we might be delivering death to everyone. Miller glared at her, his voice low. And if we kill him, we lose our only chance to understand this curse. The ship trembled again, sparks flying from the walls, the lights turning blood red. Through the window, the stars blurred, and for a moment, shapes moved between them. Massive, shadowy forms watching, waiting. It was not just a curse, it was a signal, a call to something older than humanity itself. Jason's body convulsed, his skin glowing brighter, symbols spreading across the walls of the ship as if drawn by invisible hands. The crew backed away, fear choking their throats. Sarah cried, he's becoming part of it, part of the curse. And Jason opened his eyes, glowing blue like the statue, whispering in a voice not his own, the judgment begins. The ship carried its cursed cargo across the endless void. But even far from the alien ruins, the curse was alive. Jason lay strapped to the medical bed, his body glowing with blue veins of light, symbols crawling across his skin like living fire. His voice shifted between screams and whispers. Sometimes human, sometimes something ancient and cruel. The crew watched in silence, every heartbeat louder than the hum of the engines, every breath heavy with fear. Sarah studied her book, comparing the glowing marks on Jason's body with the ancient alien writing. Her hands shook as she traced the shapes. These are not words, she whispered. These are commands, orders written into his flesh. Miller frowned, keeping one eye on her and one on the ship's unstable systems. Orders for what? He asked. Sarah looked at him, her face pale. For the end of humanity. Outside the windows, the stars flickered unnaturally, constellations bending as if the universe itself was twisting. Strange bursts of light rippled across the void. Not like normal stars, but like signals, messages spreading from Jason's body into space. They were calling out, carrying the curse farther and farther. Every system on the ship reported interference, strange signals, patterns no human computer could understand. Then the first disaster struck Earth. Thousands of miles away, on the home world. Storms formed without clouds, lightning striking from clear skies, oceans boiled in places, fish washing ashore in millions. The sun dimming for minutes at a time as if something passed between it and Earth. People panicked, governments shouted of natural disasters. But scientists saw the truth. These were not natural. These were controlled. The cursed human had become a beacon, and the curse was reaching Earth through him. Broadcast towers picked up signals they never transmitted. Voices whispering across every channel, repeating one phrase in hundreds of tongues. You are doomed, children cried in their sleep, drawing symbols in the dirt. The same ones now glowing on Jason's body. Dreams spread like infection, the same nightmare haunting millions. A statue with burning eyes, rising from the ruins of the stars. Back on the ship, Jason's body convulsed violently, the straps barely holding him down. His eyes opened wide, glowing blue. And he spoke in a voice layered with echoes. The judgment has begun. Your world will fall. Sarah backed away, trembling. It's not just him anymore. It's speaking through him to all of us. Miller slammed his fist against the console, rage mixing with fear. Then tell me how to stop it. Sarah shook her head, tears in her eyes. Every record of this guardian said the same thing. No world has ever passed its trial. The crew froze, the meaning heavy in the air. No world had survived. No civilization had escaped. And now, humanity stood in line for the same doom. Jason's laugh cut through their silence. Sharp and hollow, billions of voices, billions of souls, all marked for judgment. Meanwhile on Earth, chaos grew. Machines shut down without reason, planes falling from the sky, satellites turning toward the stars as if answering a call. The more Jason whispered, the stronger the curse grew, spreading like poison into every corner of the world. Even in the great cities, people began to gather, staring at the sky without blinking, chanting strange words in unison. Governments tried to hide the truth, but fear spread faster than lies. News channels showed people collapsing in the streets, glowing, marks appearing on their skin. Children repeating alien songs in voices not their own. The world realized it was not facing a disaster, it was facing judgment on the ship. Sarah made a terrible discovery. Her book glowed now, the alien language shifting as if rewriting itself. She whispered, "The curse is not just punishment, it is a test." Miller turned to her sharply. "A test for what?" Her voice cracked as she answered. "For humanity's worth, to see if we deserve to exist." Jason lifted his head slowly, his eyes glowing brighter. He smiled, but it was not his smile, it was the Guardian's. "No world has ever passed," he whispered. "And yours will not either." The lights in the ship died for a moment, leaving only his glowing skin to light the cabin. Captain Miller clenched his fists, his voice steady though fear weighed on him. "Then we'll do what no world has done before." Jason tilted his head, his voice mocking. "You believe in hope, but hope is what kills the slowest." The crew shivered, realizing this was not only the start of a curse, but the beginning of war between an ancient alien will and all of humanity. Far across space, strange shadows moved near Earth's orbit, unseen by the naked eye, but telescopes caught glimpses, shapes vast and terrible, watching, waiting. The curse had awakened not only the Guardian, but the things it commanded, and Earth, fragile and unprepared, now stood on the edge of its first trial. The first signs of doom had begun, and there was no turning back. Earth was no longer the same world it had been. Skies cracked with sudden storms, oceans twisted with unnatural tides, and whole cities felt the weight of unseen watchers above. People whispered of judgment, governments shouted of control, but deep down, humanity felt the truth. Something older than history had turned its eyes toward them. The cursed signal spread faster than fire, flowing through satellites, phones and machines. Every screen, every speaker, every channel echoed the same message: "You are marked." And when the words stopped, strange symbols appeared, glowing. On the glass like scars, children traced them with their fingers without knowing why, repeating sounds no human throat should make. In underground bunkers, leaders argued in panic, generals demanded weapons, scientists demanded research, priests demanded prayer, and nobody agreed on a single path. "Destroy the source," one shouted, pointing to Jason's image on the screen, his body glowing with alien light aboard the returning ship. "Study the source," another argued. "He is our only link. Without him we are blind." But as they argued, the curse spread deeper. Machines that once served humanity now worked against them, drones flying out of control, power grids failing, and nuclear systems arming themselves without commands. It was as if the alien will inside Jason reached through wires and waves, twisting technology against its creators. Earth's greatest strength, its machines, became its weakness. Meanwhile, aboard the ship, Captain Miller held his crew. Together with sheer will, Jason lay chained, still glowing, his voice shifting between mockery and prophecy. Sarah stood by the console, her book open, lines of alien text burning into her mind. She whispered, "It is testing us. It wants to see how we respond, and if we fail, we are erased." "Then we fight," Miller growled, his eyes hard. "But fight what?" Sarah asked. "A curse, a will, a judge older than our species." Miller's jaw tightened. "We fight like humans always do, with everything we have." Back on Earth, humanity began its desperate response. Fleets of ships were launched, armed with weapons never before tested in war. Cities built walls of steel and energy. Governments prepared for invasions they could not see. The world united in fear, something no war or disaster had ever achieved. And yet, fear alone was not enough. Strange disasters tore through the defenses before they could even be tested. In New York, entire skyscrapers melted into sand as if touched by invisible hands. In Tokyo, shadows rose from the ground, forming creatures with no faces, only glowing eyes. In deserts and mountains, storms gathered, never ending, as if the planet itself had turned against its children. The cursed human, Jason, became the center of it all. Scientists begged to study him, generals begged to kill him, and people whispered his name like a curse. But Captain Miller refused to give him up. "He's the key," Miller said. "And until I know what this curse truly wants, he stays alive." Jason only laughed, his voice layered with alien tones. "You think I am the key, but I am only the door, and it has already opened." His words spread across every channel on Earth. Though he had no transmitter, no connection, it was the curse itself. Using his voice as its weapon, Sarah grew weaker each day. Her mind pulled deeper into the alien language of her book. She began to speak words she did not understand, words that bent the air around her. Her eyes grew darker, her hands shaking as she confessed to Miller. "The more I read, the more I know, but the more it changes me. I am not sure if I am saving us or becoming part of it." Miller stared at her, seeing the weight of the curse on his crew. He knew humanity's hope was thin, but he refused to surrender. "Then we make our stand," he said. "We show this guardian what humans are." Jason smiled again, his glowing eyes mocking. "You think courage will save you, but courage is only another path to death." Still, humanity prepared. Underground cities were built, weapons aimed at the skies, prayers whispered into every dark corner. Children were taught not of tomorrow, but of survival. And in the silence of space, great ships gathered, carrying humanity's last hope. But in the deep shadows beyond Earth, vast shapes moved. Creatures and machines older than stars, servants of the alien judge, waiting for the signal to descend. The cursed human whispered once more, his voice filling every mind on Earth. "The first trial begins." The cursed signal had already shaken Earth, but now it began to whisper secrets. Across the skies, strange visions appeared. Whole cities looked up and saw flashes of alien worlds, ancient and broken. Civilizations of light and steel once stood proud, towers touching the stars, fleets stronger than anything humans could dream. But one by one they crumbled, their people screaming, their worlds turning to dust. Jason's glowing body became the window to these visions. Every time his eyes opened, the crew and billions on Earth saw what he saw, 1,000 alien species, judged and erased, their memories left only in ruins. Sarah trembled as she wrote them down, her hands shaking. This is history. The history of the cursed ones, none passed, not one. The guardian's voice echoed through Jason, heavy as stone. Arrogant they were, proud they were, yet none proved worthy. Miller clenched his fists, glaring at Jason's glowing form. "Worthy of what?" the voice answered without mercy. "Worthy to live." The truth tore through the crew like a blade. This was not just punishment, it was a test that every civilization had failed. The kiss had not awakened doom by accident. It had triggered the trial, a trial older than time itself. Humanity was simply the next in line, Sarah whispered. The curse is not about anger. It is about judgment. The Guardian was built for this purpose. It measures the heart of species and decides if they should exist. Jason's alien voice laughed bitterly. You already failed. Your machines betray you. Your leaders fight each other. Your children fear the sky. You are no different from the others. Miller stepped forward, his voice steady though the weight of billions pressed against his shoulders. Maybe we are different, the Guardian responded through Jason, the words echoing in every human mind. Different, all claim difference, all claim hope, yet all fall when tested. What makes your kind worthy? Miller answered with iron in his tone. We don't stop fighting, not when we lose, not when we bleed. Not even when the stars turn against us. Jason's body shook, his glowing eyes burning brighter. The alien voice sneering, "Then fight, and prove it. Back on Earth." The vision spread further. Entire populations witnessed the downfall of other worlds. Alien armies burning, alien skies collapsing. The message was clear: strength, knowledge, pride, none of it mattered, only the trial. The cursed book in Sarah's hands shifted again, its words rearranging until a single line appeared. "The trial is not survival, it is truth," Sarah gasped, her mind racing. "It's not testing if we can fight, it's testing what we truly are. It wants to see our soul." Miller looked at her, his face shadowed. "And what if our soul is not enough?" She lowered her head, whispering, "Then we are erased forever." Jason's human side fought for a moment, his voice breaking through the alien tone. "Miller." He gasped, "Help me, I can feel it inside me, it's eating me, but I can also feel everything, the galaxies, the ruins, the dead worlds." His body shook violently, the alien side forcing control again. "He is mine, his soul is the anchor, and through him I will weigh the worth of your species." The ship shook as if struck by an invisible storm, alarms blaring. Through the windows the stars bent again, this time forming shapes, massive figures of light watching, judging. They were not ships, not creatures, but memories of civilizations long gone. Their voices whispered in unison, "We failed, now you will fail." On Earth, chaos deepened. But among the chaos came a strange unity. People who once hated each other now stood side by side, defending their cities, sharing food, praying together. Soldiers protected strangers, scientists worked with priests, and enemies held hands as the skies burned. Miller watched the reports with narrow eyes. Maybe this is the truth it wants to see. Maybe this is humanity's difference. Sarah nodded weakly. Yes, every other world fell because they broke apart, but we are learning to stand together, even in fear. Jason's alien voice roared, "Unity will not save you. Your kind is selfish, violent, flawed." But his human side broke through again, whispering with pain, "Maybe flawed, but still human. Still alive." The Guardian's presence pulsed stronger, its judgment tightening. "The trial begins soon. Your time is short. Prove your truth, or be erased." The cursed symbol spread further across Jason's body, climbing to his face, his eyes glowing like burning stars. The crew could only watch, realizing Jason was no longer just a man. He was becoming the scale on which all of humanity would be weighed. The alien truth was clear now. Humanity stood at the same crossroads where countless civilizations had fallen. But unlike them, perhaps, just perhaps, their soul still had a chance. Asterisk, the sky above Earth tore open like glass shattering, across every continent. People raised their eyes and saw the same impossible sight. A ring of blue fire circling the planet, glowing brighter than the sun. From that ring, voices thundered, not through air but through the mind. "The trial begins." Earth shook, as if struck by an invisible hand. Oceans roaring, mountains splitting. Creatures rose from the ground, made of shadow and light, neither flesh nor metal, their bodies twisting into shapes that shifted every second. They were not here to conquer. They were here to test, to measure, to break. Wherever they stepped, buildings crumbled, machines shut down, and fear spread like fire. In New York, one of the shadow beasts stood taller than skyscrapers, its glowing eyes scanning the streets. People screamed, soldiers fired, but bullets passed through as if it were smoke. Then the creature roared, and thousands fell to the ground, clutching their heads, their minds filled with alien visions. They saw their own selfishness, their wars, their betrayals, their lies, forced to face the worst of what humanity was. In the deserts of Africa, another beast rose, its body shaped like a burning storm. It whispered promises of power to leaders, offering survival only if they abandoned the weak. Some gave in, but others refused, choosing to protect strangers instead of themselves. For every act of selfishness, the storm grew stronger. For every act of sacrifice, its light flickered weaker aboard the ship. Jason screamed, his body glowing brighter, the curse using him as its vessel. His voice was not his own, but the Guardian's, echoing across the planet. Face your truth, humanity. Face what you are, and be weighed. The crew held him down, the light from his body filling the cabin like fire. Sarah read from her cursed book, her voice trembling as she translated. These trials, they are mirrors. They show us what we are. They force us to choose, not just survive, but reveal our soul. Miller gritted his teeth, watching the chaos unfold on Earth through the ship's monitors. Then we show them who we are. We fight. Not with strength alone, but with what makes us human on Earth. Acts of courage began to rise against the darkness in Tokyo. Firefighters ran into collapsing towers to save children, even as shadows tried to consume them. In London, strangers formed human chains through floodwaters, pulling each other to safety. In small villages, families shared their last food with those who had none. Even as the skies burned, the shadow beasts roared louder, but their forms flickered, weakening when humans chose compassion over fear. Still, not all stood strong. In some cities, chaos ruled. People turned on each other, and the beasts fed on their hatred. The trial was not one battle, but millions of choices. Every act of kindness pushing humanity toward survival. Every act of cruelty dragging them closer to doom. Jason's body shook violently, the alien voice inside him laughing. They stumble, they fail, they tear each other apart. Nothing changes. They will fall like the rest. But his human side broke through, his voice weak but clear. No, I see them, I feel them, not all, but many. They fight for each other. The Guardian's tone thundered back. A few drops of light cannot stop a sea of darkness. Sarah's eyes filled with tears as she watched reports from Earth. Maybe that's the difference, she whispered. Other worlds may have fallen when fear took them, but we keep rising again, no matter how many times we fall. Miller's voice hardened. Then let the Guardian see it. Let it see every sacrifice, every act of defiance, every drop of hope. The trials grew harsher. Shadow beasts fused into greater forms. Storms blackened the skies. Earthquakes split continents. But so too did humanity grow stronger. Soldiers fighting side by side with civilians. Doctors refusing to rest. Parents shielding children with their own bodies. The world burned, yet within the fire, sparks of unity spread. Jason's body became a battlefield of its own. The alien power inside him tried to consume his soul, twisting his voice, his mind, his flesh. But he clung to his humanity, whispering names of his family, memories of laughter, of Earth, of love. Every memory was a weapon. Every human thought a shield against the alien will. At last the Guardian's voice shook the skies once more. You are flawed, you are violent, you are weak, and yet you resist. The blue ring above Earth flickered, cracks appearing as if the trial itself was uncertain. The final judgment approaches. The last choice will be made. The crew stared at Jason, realizing he was not only cursed, he was becoming the scale on which the decision would fall. And as his glowing eyes turned toward them, Jason whispered with both alien power and human pain. The end is close. One choice will decide if Earth lives or dies. The trial of humanity was reaching its final moment, and the fate of the species balanced on the edge of a single decision. The sky burned with blue fire, the ring of judgment tightening around Earth like a noose. The shadow beasts howled, their forms flickering between strength and weakness as humanity fought on. Every choice, every act of cruelty or kindness, every selfish decision or sacrifice weighed the balance. And at the center of it all was Jason, the cursed human, glowing like a living star inside the ship. His body was no longer fully his own. Half human and half alien, symbols carved across his skin like living fire. The crew stood around him, helpless, knowing that his choice would decide the fate of billions. Sarah clutched the cursed book, its words shifting, the final message clear. The anchor must choose, one life for all, or all for nothing, Jason gasped, fighting the alien voice. Inside him, he saw Earth in his mind. Children crying, soldiers bleeding, mothers shielding their families, strangers helping strangers. But he also saw cruelty, fear, violence, people turning on each other in panic. The alien voice whispered, "This is your truth, weak and broken. Why should they live?" Miller stepped forward, his voice steady. "Because they try, because even when we fall, we rise again. Because that is what makes us human." Jason's glowing eyes flickered. Torn between the alien will and his own heart, the Guardian's voice thundered across. "The skies, one final act will decide. Prove your worth or be erased." The blue ring tightened. Storms rising, Earth trembling as if the planet itself would break. Jason looked at Sarah, his voice breaking. "If I give myself, will it end?" Her tears fell, her voice shaking. "Yes, but it means you'll be gone forever, your soul taken as the seal." Miller gritted his teeth. "You don't have to. There must be another way." Jason shook his head slowly, the alien marks burning brighter. "There isn't. I am the curse. And I am the key." He closed his eyes, memories flooding him. The first time he laughed with his friends, the first time he saw the stars, the moment he kissed the cold statue as a joke, never knowing what it would bring. Now the weight of humanity pressed on his shoulders, and he understood. It was never about strength, never about power. It was about sacrifice, about proving the soul of humanity. Jason raised his glowing hands, his body burning like fire. The alien voice screamed through him, "Do not do this. They are not worth it. They will forget you. They will betray you. They will waste the gift of survival." But Jason's human voice roared back, "Maybe, but they are mine. They are my people. And I will not let them die." The ship shook violently, the Guardian's presence resisting. The crew shielded their eyes as Jason's body burned brighter than the sun. Sarah screamed his name. Miller reached for him, but the light swallowed them. And then Jason spoke his final words, his voice echoing across the planet. "Humanity lives because I choose them." The ring of fire shattered, breaking into a million shards of light that fell like stars across the sky. The shadow beasts dissolved into smoke, their howls fading into silence. The storms ended. The earthquakes stopped. The oceans calmed. For the first time since the curse began, Earth was still. The Guardian's voice echoed one last time, not with rage but with sorrow. Flawed yet unbroken, weak yet willing to sacrifice humanity. Passes. The light dimmed. The ruins across the galaxy fell silent, and the curse ended. But Jason was gone, his body dissolved into light, his soul taken as the price. Sarah fell to her knees, tears streaming, clutching the empty straps where he had lain. Miller placed a hand on her shoulder, his face carved with grief. "He gave us a chance," he whispered. "He showed them what it means to be human." Across Earth, people looked to the sky, not knowing the man who had saved them, only feeling the curse lift from their hearts. For days the world was quiet, humanity slowly rebuilding. The scars of the trial carved deep into every city, every family. But in the silence, there was hope. For the first time in history, nations worked together, enemies embraced. People remembered that they had stood at the edge of extinction and survived. Jason's name was never forgotten by those who knew the truth. Whispered like a prayer, the man who kissed a statue and saved the world. High above, among the stars, a faint blue glow lingered, as if Jason's spirit watched over Earth. The Guardian was gone, but the memory of the trial remained, a warning and a promise that humanity, despite its flaws, had earned the right to continue. And though the curse had demanded a life, it had also given a truth. Humans were worthy, because they could love beyond themselves. The final choice had been made, and humanity had survived, not through strength, not through power, but through the sacrifice of one man, *.